To call to order the City Council meeting for the City of Highland Park, Illinois, Monday, December 11th, 2023. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ross.
Present.
Councilmember Hubler.
Present.
Councilmember Tapia.
Present.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Here.
Councilmember Stone. Here. Councilmember Bloomberg.
Here.
Mayor Rotering.
Here, we have a quorum. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular City Council meeting held November 27th, 2023?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thanks. The minutes are approved. May I have approval of the warrant list?
So moved. Second.
Any comments or questions on the warrant list? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, 7 ayes, no nays. The warrant list is approved. We will now move to the report of the mayor. Before we proceed with this evening's agenda, I ask that we take a moment to continue to shine a spotlight on the remaining hostages being held in Gaza and the pain of their loved ones here in Highland Park, in Israel, and around the world. Tonight, Jewish families will continue the celebration of Hanukkah, celebrating a history of resilience and overcoming adversity. May we all keep the light of hope burning until each hostage is safely home. Thank you. My next item is appointments. The City of Highland Park has 18 commissions, boards, and advisory groups with volunteer community members who are appointed by me, the mayor, with the City Council's consent. These organizations were formed to provide guidance to the City Council and to adhere to existing municipal regulations. Members of the city's appointed bodies serve term lengths that coincide with the calendar year, and coinciding with the beginning of 2024, I'm recommending the following appointments and reappointments, and after I read the names and the terms, I ask that the City Council grant consent to these appointments and reappointments. Board of Fire and Police Commissioners, appointment to Chair Kiki Katz, appointment Chris Barnes. Kiki's term is from 1/1/24 to 12/31/25. Chris's is from 1/1/24 to 12/31/27. Business and Economic Development Advisory Group, reappointment Dano Bartolet, Larry Bloom, Linda Center, Christopher Falcon, Stephanie Kirch, and Maxwell Verhey. And I'm going to not read their terms because I know you all received these in today's agenda, and they're printed there for the public as well. Cultural Arts Advisory Group, appointment to Chair Gerald Eisenberg, appointment to Vice Chair Sylvia Rota, reappointment Joanne Bernstein, Edward Kaufman, James Lynch, Sylvia Rota, Cheryl Steiger, appointment Robert Archambault and Christine Bautista Yan. Firefighters Pension Board, appointment Benjamin Copen, and reappointment Julie Logan, appointment Christy McAloo. Historic Preservation Commission, appointment to Chair Seth Pines, appointment to Vice Chair Erica C. Weider, reappointment Erica C. Weider, and appointment Anthony Gonka. Housing Commission, appointment Elizabeth Shapiro Copen, Jeremy Rosen, and Ashby Beasley. Human Relations Advisory Group, appointment to Chair, thanks for being here tonight, Terry Tiersky. Appointment to Vice Chair Paul Canchester, reappointment Paul Canchester and Jarrett Fishman, appointment Stephanie Luger and Barbara Gottesman. Library Board of Trustees, reappointment Alicia de la Cruz. Plan and Design Commission, appointment to Chair Karen Moore, appointment to Vice Chair Stephen Kirch, reappointment Karen Moore, and appointment Ken Henry. Police Pension Board, reappointment Julie Logan, appointment Christy McAloo. Sustainability Advisory Group, appointment to Chair Jay Futterman, appointment to Vice Chair Julie Campbell, reappointment Jay Futterman, Julie Campbell, Megan Gilhood, and appointment Jory Fine, Marissa Hopkins, and Michael Klee. Transportation Advisory Group, reappointment Jessica Hector Shue, Jacob Maximilian, Elliot Rosson, and appointment Brett Ross. And Zoning Board of Appeals, appointment to Chair Jamie Bay, appointment to Vice Chair Alexis Yablon, reappointment Brad Zaransky. I seek your consent. Do I have your consent?
Yes.
You do.
Do I have your consent? Thank you. And to all who have volunteered on behalf of our community, we really appreciate your volunteerism, your service, and what we know will be thoughtful, deliberative time on these commissions, advisory boards, and boards. Thank you. I have one proclamation this evening. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, Monday, January 15th. Presented by the City of Highland Park Human Relations Advisory Group and the Park District of Highland Park. This annual event is an opportunity for us to all come together in celebration of Dr. King's legacy through service to others. I'll read the proclamation and welcome Terry Tiersky, Vice Chair of the Human Relations Group, in just a moment. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and Dr. King's teachings can continue to guide and inspire us. And whereas the King Holiday and Service Act, enacted in 1994, designated the King Holiday as a national day of volunteer service, and since 1994, millions of Americans have been inspired by the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to serve their neighbors and communities on the King Holiday. And whereas the city's Human Relations Advisory Group and the Park District of Highland Park will sponsor its 15th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service on Monday, January 15th, 2024, at the Recreation Center of Highland Park, 1207 Park Avenue West, from 10 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And whereas the Day of Service event honors the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and is a community collaboration for a day of action and features purposeful service projects and entertainment to engage all ages. And whereas Highland Park residents will join thousands of Illinois residents commemorating the significance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day by performing community service that benefits communities and neighborhoods and provides a fitting memorial to the life of Dr. King. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Rodering, Mayor of the City of Highland Park, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 15, 2024, as Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service in the City of Highland Park, and urge all community members to join in recognizing it as a day of service throughout Highland Park, and further encourage each citizen to take place in service that will benefit communities and neighborhoods and provide a fitting memorial to the life of Dr. King. And I know many of us say it's not a day off, it's a day on, a chance for all of us to be on and to provide service to those in our community and beyond who are vulnerable and in need. And with that, I am delighted to welcome Terry Tiersky, Vice Chair of the Human Relations Advisory Group, to share more about the plans for the 2024 Martin Luther King Day of Service program, activities, and donation drop-off event.
Thank you very much, Mayor Rodering and City Council. It is my pleasure to share more about this special event on behalf of the Human Relations Advisory Group. This year, we are celebrating the 15th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. This signature event brings together dozens of local organizations and service providers, along with hundreds of volunteers, to celebrate Dr. King's legacy through interactive projects that support our neighbors in need. The Human Relations Advisory Group works closely with the Park District of Highland Park, along with city staff, to plan a meaningful and productive day for our volunteers and participants. And it really is a wonderful opportunity for folks of all ages to explore various and unique ways to make a difference. The event, as Mayor Rodering told you, will be held at the Recreation Center of Highland Park on Monday, June 15th, 2024, from 10 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. Brandon Buchanan, Director of the Health Equity Impact Team at Highland Park Hospital, will give the keynote address, which will be followed by a performance by Ravinia Festival's Reach, Teach, Play. In addition, a drive-through donation event will be held from 9 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. at the Recreation Center parking lot. Wish lists from participating organizations will be available on the city's website. Your participation in this event will be really greatly appreciated, and so we look forward to seeing everyone on January 15th at the Rec Center at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thanks. Wonderful. Continuing on with our other business, we will now do the Beautification and Business Recognition Awards. Beautification Awards recognize businesses that have enhanced the appearance of their building exterior and the area surrounding it, keep it well-maintained, create a welcoming atmosphere, and successfully integrate it within the environment and the community. They serve as an example to all businesses within Highland Park to remain committed to help beautifying our community. Award recipients are nominated by the public and city staff and recommended by the Business and Economic Development Advisory Group to the City Council for their approval. My council colleagues and I are proud to recognize this year's Beautification Award recipient, Walled Lake Planning and Wealth Management. Managing Director and co-founder Howard Kliegler is here to accept the award. Walled Lake purchased the property in 2021 and remarkably improved the building facade with classic brick, new windows, doors, lighting, signage, relocation of the entrance and landscaping, all of which have enhanced the neighborhood and created a very welcoming aesthetic. We thank you, Walled Lake Planning and Wealth Management, for helping to make Highland Park a better place to live and work. And at this time, we'd like to invite Mr. Kliegler to the podium. Whoops. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Absolutely. Give you this. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so
Did you have any comments you want to share, or are you? Okay.
No, I just, it's a great community. I actually moved here 2 years ago also. And
Even better.
I take two things. One, this community, people grow up here and they go to camp with each other and they go away and they come back. And they marry each other's cousins and sisters. And I just did where I grew up in New York, everybody left and everybody came back. And the only other thing I could say is the water pressure in Highland Park is fabulous. 80 pounds. Can't get that anywhere. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. The Business Recognition Award honors businesses for their longevity, excellence, and innovation in business operations and commitment to the Highland Park community. These businesses serve as an example of how hard work and dedication to providing quality service can lead to decades of success. The city recognizes businesses at their 50-year milestone and every 25 years after. Tonight, we are honored to recognize Muller Auto Group for 50 years in Highland Park. This award is dedicated to the memory of founder Michael Muller, who started the auto group in 1973, and son Scott and Glenn Muller. Mike's son Mark Muller, who joined the dealership in 2011 and carries on his legacy, is in attendance. Mike left a steadfast path for everyone associated with their business, to which much of the dealership's success is attributed. Since the group's founding in 1973, Muller Auto Group has opened several stores in Chicagoland and Indiana. However, their flagship stores, as they affectionately refer to them, are here in Highland Park, boasting a total of 4 rooftops and 3 outstanding brands: Honda, Subaru, Volkswagen, and their certified pre-owned Honda store. The Muller Auto Group is a family-focused business, both figuratively and literally. Their commitment is to provide not just jobs, but careers, offering training, nurturing, and support to ensure their team's success. They aspire to see them flourish, whether they're starting families, buying homes, or preparing for retirement. In Highland Park alone, their 4 stores employ close to 200 individuals, with many having dedicated a decade or more to their shared success. Remarkably, they have employees who have been with them for 35 years. Another cornerstone of their success is their unwavering dedication to customers and customer service. They take pride in conducting honest, transparent, and value-driven transactions in both sales and service. Customer satisfaction has been at the forefront of their business for the entire 50 years that they've been operating. Founder Mike Muller often claimed to have invented customer service and coined their tagline, "You will not be disappointed," a phrase embedded in their advertising for as long as memory serves. They take pride in living up to that commitment. Lastly, their success also stems from reinvesting in their facilities and services offered. With the understanding that automobile retailing is asset-intensive, they strive to maintain current, welcoming, safe, and inviting facilities for their valued customers and employees. Recently, they invested several $1 million in a state-of-the-art Volkswagen facility, anticipating the new era of EVs. They're also in the process of redesigning their Honda facility to accommodate hybrid models and Honda's first EV, the fully electric Prologue. As the automotive landscape evolves, They've also invested over $1 million in preparing their stores with charging stations, specialized tools, and equipment for the sale and service of EVs. Muller Auto Group extends their heartfelt gratitude to the city for honoring them with this prestigious award. They deeply appreciate their longstanding relationship with the people of Highland Park, and I'd now like to invite Mark Muller and representatives of Muller Auto Group to accept the award. Please come forward. Thank you. Thank you. We'll give you this. I think we have a photo opportunity here. Did you want to say anything, or? Actually, if you can go to the microphone. Oh, that's okay. Great, here. Thank you. Thanks.
I just want to dedicate this to my father. He passed away in May, and that was after both my brothers who built the they built the business themselves over the last, they were in business with my father their whole lives, and sadly they passed away in 20 and 21, and then my father now in 23. So last man standing, but we're going to still persevere and get everything going. Friend of my father's, and keep the stores going, keep Highland Park, keep everything here, and just do as we've done.
We appreciate it.
Steadfast. So, thank
Tremendously.
you. Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations. Mark, we look forward to your continued achievement for decades to come. Thank you. Okay. We are pleased now to welcome Vice Chair Lori Levin, Secretary Eric Ephraim, and Executive Director Terry Olean of the Highland Park Community Foundation, who are joining us this evening to share information on the 2023 grant-making program. Welcome.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Mayor, council members, city manager, thank you for inviting us to join your meeting tonight. I'm Lori Levin, now chair of the Highland Park Community Foundation as of last Wednesday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And joining me are Eric Ephraim, newly elected vice chair, and Terry Olean, our executive director. We are happy to be with you tonight to provide an update about the Foundation's 2023 grant funding. And as you will hear, it's been another impactful year. Okay. In front of you, you'll see the timeline that we followed for our 2023 annual grant awards. Similar to years past. In May, we reached out to and encouraged all previous grant recipients and approved new applicants to apply for a grant. By June 1st, any organization seeking a grant for the first time needed to have sought approval to do so. This year, there were 6. Terry, as well as board members, continued to reach out to previous grant recipients that had not yet applied right up to the July 15th application deadline. We received a total of 65 applications, which board members reviewed between July 17th and August 14th. To do justice to all the applications, we divided our board into 4 cohorts. Each reviewed, discussed, and provided funding recommendations for the applications that fell into the grant funding categories assigned to that cohort. In addition to reviewing the written applications and supplemental materials, board members met with the applicants. Each discussion was different, and provided us funding recommendations for the applications that fell into the grant funding. Oh, sorry, I just said that. To discuss the grant request, gain better understanding of what was currently happening within the organization, and address any concerns. Each board member prepared a brief application summary for the cohorts. Board members also completed a review of the various cohort applications with members of the board at the cohort meetings. They met between August 15th and September 5th. On September 13th, the entire board met and made the final funding decisions.
Excellent. All right. As you can see, 63 grants, $785,000 distributed. That's a 5% increase over last year. A variety of services, youth, seniors, mental health, hunger. We talk about the unmet needs in Highland Park, and that's really what we're after, is trying to meet the unmet needs. As Lori said, several new applicants this year. And of course, very grateful to you, Mayor and City Council, for the trust you've put in us in supplying funds to us to distribute. Very grateful, and helps us to do what we continue to do. You can see the distribution here of grants by category. A lot of it just really comes down to a function of the requests and the needs out there. So, it's more from the ground up than the top down how we determine to distribute by these categories. And then on this slide, all we're doing really is distinguishing between the annual grants, which we just described, and then the recovery grants based obviously on the parade shooting. Obviously, still a lot of people out there who want to contribute and support the needs of people who have been impacted by the parade. So we still have some funds to distribute to organizations from that. At this point, as part of this fund, we're distributing to organizations that are providing services rather than directly to people who are impacted in the parade.
And to follow up on what Eric was talking about vis-a-vis the recovery fund, not all organizations that got grants and applied for grants are typical mental health organizations. All requests, though, were for programs and services that would address the mental health impacts of the shooting. Just some examples: Highwood Public Library, Southeast Lake County Faith in Action Volunteers, Family Focus, and all of their applications dealt with the needs of the community in the aftermath of the shooting. We were honored to be able to support the needs detailed in the applications. We will continue until the recovery fund amounts are depleted and continue to address the mental needs of the community through our annual grants. Okay. Highland Park Community Foundation, as you know, is here to serve our community in good times and in times of darkness, as we did during COVID and with last year's shooting. We cannot and do not serve the community alone, however. We do it in partnership with you, Mayor, City Council, city staff, with over 60 organizations that provide incredible programs and services for members of our community, and with our donors and supporters, who are individuals, families, businesses, and foundations. And I do need to shout out Terry Olean. She's been the rock of our organization and just an incredible and ceaseless worker for us. Our support base has grown, and we hope it continues to grow so we can always address the unmet needs of the community. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Lori and Eric and Terry, the nucleus of the atom, for all that you do and all that you provide in terms of the deep dive assessments and making sure that these grant dollars are going to where there is the greatest need. Truly appreciate your stewardship and the deliberative thought that you put into this process. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions? No? Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, the moment you've been waiting for, the presentation of the Len Kobe Award by the Downtown Highland Park Property Owners Association. The Downtown Highland Park Property Owners Association was formed in 2007 for the long-term health of the downtown district. Property owner El Claremont joins us tonight to provide information about the Len Kobe Award and to present the 2023 award winners. Thank you.
Well, Mayor and Council, thank you for inviting us tonight for the Len Kobe Award 2023. What makes Highland Park so unique and great? Our schools, ravines, waterfront, and our downtown. I'm Al Claremont, the founding director of the Downtown Highland Park Property Owners Association, which was formed in 2007 in order for downtown property owners to formally come together as the watchdogs for the long-term health of our downtown district. I'm joined today with POA members Dino Demetrio and Rick Nelson. Prior to the formation of this group, we were often called to attend property owner meetings with the Chamber of Commerce director and, when willing, our mayor or a councilman, by Len Kobe, a fellow property owner and longtime owner of Kobe's men's clothing shop. Together, we discussed what we could do to make our downtown better. Len Kobe was adored by his fellowship of property owners, and once we formed our official group, it was Len Kobe who was given the honor to petition for us property owners to fund a special service area to raise $300,000 per year from property owners for the marketing of our fabulous downtown. We were successful in this endeavor and have since contributed millions of dollars to promote our downtown. In 2009, the Property Owners Association formed the Len Kobe Award to be given annually or as deserved to individuals or organizations who prominently stand out in improving our downtown. The inaugural recipient of the Len Kobe Award was Len Kobe himself. Our 2023 Len Kobe Award goes to an incredible collection of downtown merchants. Tonight, we honor 8 full-service restaurants who have served our downtown for 20 years or more. We know that the hardest business to succeed in is the restaurant business. Right, Jeff? With passion, incredible hard work, and the ability to provide excellent food, excellent service, and excellent value, our 8 honorees have each brought more feet onto our downtown streets than is typical of our usual retail merchants. They have persevered the high costs of starting up, long hours, and in some cases 7 days a week service, fussy customers, clientele who may consume less alcohol than in other demographics, lots of low-wage employees, constantly spoiling inventory, and COVID. On hand to assist presenting the 2023 Len Kobe Awards to our 8 honorees is the son of Len Kobe, Mitch Kobe. Mitch, come on up, we need your help. And Rick, you're going to help us? The 8 honorees representing downtown Highland Park restaurant royalty are, in alphabetical order, Barbecue Pit. And I don't think Gus Kerrigan is here, but Gus is actually the dean of all the Highland Park full-service restaurants, having operated for more than 45 years. How about a hand for Barbecue Pit in abstention? Country Kitchen, Peter Demetrius is here. Ruby Leopoulos is here.
Thank you.
Why don't all honorees come on up now? It'll speed things up. Norton's. Ricky Hollab is here. Larry Mages is here. See you Thursday, as always. Sushi Badaya. Sukmoon, the chef, is here. Sushi Kushi 2, Felix Koo. Here he comes. All right, Felix. Tamales, Jeff Gorbina. Walker Brothers, Tom Zender. I've been to each of these places in the past 2 weeks.
Me too.
And our eighth, this is in alphabetical order, Yummy Bowl, Teresa Cheng is here. We've never had 8 honorees in a single year. I think the record is 2. But what remarkable achievements for each of these institutions. Thank you, congratulations to all of our honorees, and the City Council wants to have a group photograph.
Yes, we do. Congratulations to all of you. We so appreciate you. You are the heartbeat of downtown Highland Park, and we truly, the what?
Go in
The
front
tummy.
of your council. Cut right up.
You are the guts. Mitchell.
You're the tummy of Highland Park.
I was just going to say.
See you. Thank you. Always.
You're a pretty good photographer, but I'll try.
See my favorite salad.
You want to try to get everyone to pose.
Thank you always.
All right, you got a deal.
All right, let's get a good.
Amazing organization. Absolutely.
We'll do everybody.
Oh, here.
Do you want everybody to squeeze in?
Thank you, thank you.
We could get the award winners up here.
Okay.
Hand up.
So award winners, we're taking a photo. Come back. Yep. Thank you, thank you. The man who knows my family well. We're going to come to a quick photo. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, happy to talk to you, absolutely. We're going to continue with the meeting, though, 'cause we grew up together, so it's like a sibling.
That's funny.
And Al, I concur with your statement that everybody adored Len Kobe. He was one of a kind, and I'm delighted that we continue his legacy. Thank you all for joining us this evening.
Very nice.
Okay. Continuing on, is there any business from the council? No. Okay. Business from city staff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Other exciting news to share. So we have 18 items on the omnibus agenda for consideration this evening. Number 1 is an enhancement to the city's business exterior grant program, previously called the Facade Improvement Grant. Based on council feedback, we did increase the availability of funding to eligible businesses from $5,000 to up to $20,000. We did retain that 50-50 matching grant. We expanded the possibility of viable applicants in Highland Park, so the program is no longer limited to small businesses. and we expanded the eligibility improvements from only frontage to eligible improvements visible from the public right-of-way. So this has been a very important initiative that the city offers to new businesses as well as current businesses, and these enhancements to the initiative, we are confident will continue to be very well received. We are recommending that this item be approved as amended. There are a couple of changes that I just want to bring to your attention. So under the scope of the program, it was recommended by an official that we strike that the business has to be for profit, but we would suggest adding a provision under the definition of business that it must be a sales tax generating business located and operating within a commercial building in one of the city's commercial districts. The rationale for that is because there are offices and just different types of uses that don't meet the spirit of the establishment of this program. And then the other change is under the reapplication section. No more than one grant shall be approved for the new languages, type of eligible improvement with any single building in any 5-year period. Understanding that businesses and property owners may stagger their improvements, this allows them to do so and to be able to apply for consideration of the grant. Number 3 on Omnibus is the memorandum of understanding with our resource partners. This really formalizes our partnership with our government and nonprofit partners listed on the MOU, and we've been working very, very closely with them since the shooting took place in our community. We are regularly meeting, sharing information, collaborating on services and programs, and working to support victims and the entire community. This MOU is an important component as we seek federal funding from the AAP grant program offered by the Department of Justice. And then finally, number 13 is also recommended to be approved as amended. This is the Complete Streets policy. Do want to thank the City Council for your policy feedback over the course of several meetings, as well as the Transportation Advisory Group and our staff for the significant number of hours that were spent working on this comprehensive Complete Streets policy. So we have a detailed staff report as well as historical information that's included in the staff report. I just wanted to bring to your attention a couple of recommended changes. And what we'd recommend is that this item be approved as amended, and then we would work with Corporation Counsel, again, just to finalize the language of these changes. But under Section 4, Number 6, we recommend adding major right before complete streets improvements. And again, just to make sure that it's clear that these are for major projects. And then Section 5, Numbers 5 and 6, we recommend that the general maintenance for the SMART program, that we add the language unless determined by city council or city staff. So simple resurfacing projects are not going to go through the complete streets policy review as set forth here, again, unless as determined. And then number 6, bike lanes would not be considered for work on non-arterial and non-collector roads. And so that's a policy that we have been practicing, but then we would formalize it in here as an exception. And again, we'll work with Corporation Counsel on that language. So recommending those 2 items be approved as amended. Happy to answer any questions now or at that time when it's considered.
Great. Are there any questions now? Councilmember Tapia.
I just want to make a comment on the facade improvement. I think it's been a very good, constructive work between the City Council and staff, and really thinking about what would be really beneficial to the businesses to prosper. And I like the fact that it's inclusive, it's materially impactful, and it also is an expression of shared responsibility where it's more than 5,000, which was limited. I think the new limit is kind of more realistic about doing something positive. And I like the fact that it's a 50-50 matching grant, because that shows that, everybody's skin in the game here, right? It's a shared responsibility for the continued vibrancy of our city.
Great, thank you.
I have a question here.
Sure.
Mayor. Gita, when you said about number 2 under the grants, and I think that went to how frequently someone could apply, could you go over that again? Because I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me right now.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to
So the language would read under the reapplication, no more than one grant shall be approved for any type of eligible improvement within any single building in any 5-year period. So for example, a business could apply for a awning 1 year, and then the next year apply for landscaping, but they can't apply for,
The same thing.
Same thing.
right, one thing within a 5-year period.
And is that limit of the 20,000 for each project? Or is that in total in the 5-year period?
Each project, each application would be up to 20, 50, 50 match.
So in theory, so there's no cap other than the 20,000. So in theory, one business could apply for 5 grants in a 5-year period. Different things that they're doing, I mean, all good, but they could be, in theory, getting $50,000 for facade improvements from the city, one business.
But it's not an absolute. There's not a guarantee. That's an application, not necessarily just going to the ATM and getting money. So it would have to be worthwhile, it would have to be approved
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
under the process.
And believe me, benefit of the doubt, I certainly believe every one of, I've seen them over the last few years, even the small ones. They're all meritorious, they're wonderful
Right.
improvements. Frankly, some of the most beautiful work that's been done in our downtown lately has been through this program. So I think it's a tremendous success. I agree about the commitment. I do think that there should be a bigger limit in the sense that maybe 3 years out of 5 a business can apply. But I think that that 5-year limit is too much. So I'd like to pull that from our, from the
That's
consent
item number
agenda.
1. That's item 1.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay. Councilmember Stone?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the Complete Streets policy. I thank you for working back and forth on all of these amendments. It's been a process. We started working on this about 1.5 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that. And I want to recognize Jessica Hector-Sue, the chair of the Transportation Advisory Group, is in the audience tonight, and that group has been really instrumental in getting this policy to us tonight.
Wonderful. Actually, I'm just going to share that we started talking about complete streets in 2009. So great job, great job. Thank you. Councilmember Littleworth?
if we want, I'm not comfortable with that. I think that the changes that were proposed are completely accurate and they're very precise. And I know this is subject to changes. They're minor, I understand that, and I know how much work has gone into this, and it really has reached consensus. So kudos, frankly, to staff, council liaisons, the community, and TAG for really participating in this. I don't like voting on something where all the language really isn't completely, in front of me like that. So can we abstain and keep it on the consent agenda, but just abstain from it?
You can always abstain.
Because, we're going to vote on them as a group, so just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else from report of city staff? You look like you have a question.
No, I was just going to say, I wanted to pull 15 and 18.
You want to pull 15 and 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Continuing on with our agenda, the next item is business from the public. We will be getting to these consent agenda items, so it was a little out of order to have the conversation, and then we'll jump into business from the public, and then we'll be back for the omnibus vote consideration. But the next item on the agenda, as stated, is business from the public, and this is an opportunity for members of the public to address the city council on a topic that is within the council's purview and jurisdiction, but is not listed in another location on the agenda. If you'd like to speak about a matter that is listed on the agenda, we ask that you wait until that agenda item is called, and we'll give you an opportunity to speak then. So if your matter is on the omnibus consent agenda, please let us know if you'd like us to remove that matter so you can speak about it. Please be aware that business from the public is not intended to be a forum for open dialogue or engagement with members of the city council. Rather, it's intended as an opportunity to make comments to the city council. Please don't expect necessarily a response from anyone tonight, and if appropriate, we may direct the city manager or other city staff to respond to questions or issues raised at a later date. All comments should be directed to us up here, the City Council. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes, and we request that the public not applaud or make other comments after any speaker. We ask that everyone be respectful, civil, and non-repetitive. Is there any business from the public this evening? And if so, I ask that you please come to the podium and line up to speak and share your name for the record. Thank you.
This was my speech for tonight, but I am not going to give that because I didn't know we were going to have all of these other agenda items until just recently. So I'll leave that until January. We could all, enjoy or have a nice discussion and a nice debate. But since I'm up here and since I'm here, I want to congratulate
What's
all
your
of-
name?
Oh, the name is Mark Portman, and I live at University
Thank you.
Avenue, 38 years at University Avenue. I just want to congratulate all the commission appointments. It's obviously a treasure that the city has so many volunteers willing to provide their service. It's something that, we should all be thankful for, and so I want to congratulate all the, or thank all of the appointments, or all the appointees, rather. Same thing with all the beautification and the business awards. To all of those recipients, it's wonderful that the city is recognizing those those businesses and what they're doing for the city. And then, of course, the Len Kobe honorees, that's a wonderful thing as well. I was never aware of any of those things. But since I am here, and I've got 2 minutes and 11 seconds, I do want to, just on a personal matter, I want to thank the city staff, Gita, and her staff, as well as, going all the way down, Department of Public Works, et cetera, et cetera. We've been doing this for many years now, and I just want to thank them for, listening and being willing to hear all sides of a situation. I want to thank the council members who've done that for us over the years as well. But I do want to save my last comment, especially for Mayor Rodering, because while we have sent you some correspondence, we've actually never met, if you will, but I just want to say personally that your leadership over the last 2 years is exemplary. I'm sure you never thought or ever dreamed of what might have come during that 2-year period, but your leadership has been exemplary, and all of the residents should treasure the fact that you were our mayor during that particular period of time. So I just want to say that, and everybody have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you all back
See you in
again here in January.
Thanks, Mr. Portman. Very much appreciate your comments. Thank you. Any other members of the public? Come forward.
Hi, I'm Tom Hiller. I live at University Hill. I see that the complete streets has essentially been adopted. So although this has been in progress for a year and a half, I've only started coming here for like a month or whenever you did this investigation. So the only thing I have to say, I look through the complete streets and I find 6 scenarios. They don't seem to align with the street that I live on. So I don't know how you apply something like that. Just, I don't know what it exactly means. Also, at the 30th, the Transportation Advisory Group, they were making a request to be somehow, to be set aside as a standalone committee that's separate from the general public to develop policy. I don't really understand how that would be possible. The Transportation Advisory Group appears to be like a special interest group of sorts that is highly in sync with Complete Streets. So National Complete Streets Coalition. So general public, I'm just coming off of what they had to say on the 30th, the general public that they refer to is in effect anybody that isn't aligned with their alignment. If somebody isn't in alignment with the National Committee of the National Complete Street Coalition. So I don't know how you can have something that's apart from the public when it's basically a special interest trying to promote a particular specification. I don't know what that means for something like a transportation advisory group to somehow be separate. Another thing, there's one other thing here. I got 59 seconds. Let's see. Standalone document. They requested that Highland Park City Council accept that as a standalone document. There was a bunch of verbiage in accordance with recommendations of the National Committee of the National Complete Streets Coalition, blah, blah, blah. I don't know exactly what it means for a government entity to endorse or accept or whatever a standalone document like that, okay? I would expect that on a blow-by-blow, case-by-case basis, somebody that's interested in something from that, I get 10 seconds, shows up with a particular extracted sentence or paragraph and tries to promote it. I don't know what it means to have a standalone document endorsed or accepted. Anyway, thanks a lot.
If I could answer a couple of your questions, that'd be great. And thank you for raising the questions that you brought. These groups, for the most part, are advisory. They're recommending bodies to the council. They're not standalone decision makers. They don't say, this is what we're doing, go forth, Public Works, and build. They'll say, this is something that we're focused on. These are some suggestions that we have. And then as the city council looks at the capital improvement plan and proposed projects throughout the year, that's a recommendation that we take into account. So they are a public body, just like historic preservation, just like cultural arts, just like sustainability, and on and on and on. Those meetings are always open to the public. Those meeting agendas are always posted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act on the city website, and you are able to go be in those meetings and hear what's being
But it's
discussed.
the same 3 minutes as that you sit there for 2 hours and listen to a discussion. It sounds like nonsense.
Well-
So I don't know what to, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I would normally expect, I did wireless data standards for 25 years, okay? So normally I would expect to walk up to a microphone and interject, but it's like you got 3 minutes and then you go on mute. So I don't know what to do with it.
You've got great email opportunities, though, as well, and there are no limits, and those can be submitted if you have comments that are then part of the...
Send email, but you don't have an exploder list. Like there should be a list of people that sign up, and I send an email to a list, and it gets flashed out to everybody that's on that list. That's how these things work, right? Otherwise, you're just sending an email to some people in a black hole, effectively. It's not
true.
anything
So-
that's interactive.
So there's a staff liaison, there's a chair, there's a council liaison to all of these advisory groups, boards, and commissions, and those emails are then shared with that group, and they are cognizant then of your point of view.
But they should also be reflected to anybody that signs up to that committee to get emails so they can also follow the correspondence. That's how every standards body that I've ever worked in, and I've worked in many, I mean, I hate to bring something like that in, but these are like committees, and you get 3 minutes, and then you've got 2 hours of sitting there on mute. I mean, if you want to do that, it's fine, but then you need to have an email exploder list, and I know that you have pretty competent meeting facilitators here, and I'm sure they know how to do stuff like that.
Super competent, but they do share that information. They let others who share your interest know about those meetings, know about those agenda items, and the entire record is available to the public.
Oh, so the emails then are being captured into the record, and then they're going to appear on a screen that'll be talked about?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So our entire agenda, which I think is now hundreds of pages, has all of the emails that we receive on specific issues
Okay.
available for the entire public.
Okay.
We're not going to be the amplifier to you because you're submitting your item and then it's posted on behalf of the city agenda that you have now entered this item into the public record. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Do all these other historical societies then get promoted as implementing a policy independent of the general public, or is this something special, the Transportation Advisory Group?
They are
wants?
like everybody else. They are absolutely a subject matter recommending body, just like the Historic Preservation Group, just like Cultural Arts, just like Sustainability.
So they were, Transportation Advisory Group was not being treated fairly, and they needed to put that text in on the 30th, asking that they be treated differently?
I'm not quite sure what you're
Oh,
referring
okay.
to, but I can just tell
Okay.
you, we get their information, we read it, and we'll vote on it.
Okay. Okay.
Just
So
like everybody
are-
else.
Are you adopting their document as a standalone? Are you adopting complete?
They made their recommendations. We've already started amending those recommendations, and so we'll see if we take action on them or
Oh,
not.
so
this evening.
it's still not fully baked?
Item number 13, so, as amended at this point. And I do want to say, nobody's got a chisel and a block of stone. I mean, we really kind of amend things forever. The fact that I've been talking about this for 14 years should give you a sense of how much digestion is going on with this item.
Okay. I just
Appreciate it.
simply noticed that Complete Streets is being used as like it's almost like weaponized as something that gets waved around, and then when you go back, it has absolutely nothing to do with what somebody's proposing. That's the kind of thing that I wonder about, and since I spent my life writing wireless standards, I've been here.
All right, well, now that you've been here and now that we know you, I'm going to ask you to apply to be on a board, commission, or advisory group next year. See you in November.
Mayor?
Yes.
Director Bannon is in the back and can have a conversation if you're interested, just to talk about notification and meetings and process and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So Gary Gordon, 3282 University Avenue, and I think the points that were discussed tonight and the openness of the committees to participation and such those were very good points. I just want to try to put the view back on the table here that the issue that some of us are here for is this issue of adding sidewalks on University Avenue. There are a number of us that have been through this discussion in the past and were opposed to having sidewalks. And we continue to be opposed to having sidewalks on University Avenue. And there's a number of issues that I'm sure all on the committee are well aware of that range from the feel of the neighborhood to potential damage to trees, to water runoff, to liability issues, and the like that have not been fully discussed with individuals who live on the street. And, I'm not aware of all the implications of adopting the transportation recommendations, but I do want to be very clear that there are a number of us who live on University Avenue that in spite of that document, in spite of whether it's a formal policy or a guidance document, are opposed to having sidewalks on that street.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak?
Hi, Mayor and Council. I'd also like to speak about Complete Streets, if that's okay.
Actually, we have not yet called that
Okay.
item, and this is business from the public on items not on the agenda.
Okay.
It's kind of morphed over there. but
Sure.
I'm gonna- Can I call on you
Yeah,
when we get
why
to
don't we
that
do that?
item? Is that okay? Any other business from the, or do you want
I
to
can
just?
point out, right now, it's on the consent agenda,
I'm
so
gonna pull it.
you can either pull it from the consent agenda or have them speak now.
Why don't we finish business from the public on items not on tonight's agenda, and then
Okay.
we'll move to items on tonight's agenda, if that makes sense, when we get to those items?
Right, I just
Okay.
want to make sure that, one way or the other, we have to let the public talk.
Oh, and
Okay.
all in on that, absolutely. Anybody else want to talk on something not on tonight's agenda? Okay, with that, we will move on from the business from the public to our scheduled business. Items 1 through 18 have been grouped together for omnibus consideration. Item 1, you've asked to pull Councilmember Littwer. Item 11, Councilmember Ross has asked to pull. Item 13 would be as amended, but we're going to pull that now for comment from the public. Item 15, Councilmember Tapia, and 18, Councilmember Tapia has asked to pull. All right, so now, I am seeking a motion to approve items 2 through 10, item 12, item 14, 16, and 17.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions on those items that I just enumerated? Any from the public? Okay, Clerk, let's call the vote.
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, 7 ayes and no nays. Okay, item 1, an ordinance amending Chapter 107 of the Highland Park Code of 1968 as amended regarding the Small Business Facade Improvement Program. Councilmember Littlewer.
I would like to see this move forward, but I do think we should modify it, and so I would ask that we limit it to 3 applications for the same building, even if it's a different project, within a 5-year period up to the maximum. And I would also like to just, because I think it was a little bit unclear in our packets today, I did bring up the comment about giving preference to small businesses. And what I meant by that is this is on a rolling basis. And so we are setting aside, in theory, $100,000 for this, meaning that up to 10 applications, were they to apply at the maximum amount, could get $10,000 in a year period.
I think it's
5
20,000.
20, okay.
So be up to
So
5 applications.
So we could have 5 applications.
Max of 100.
But, if we see in October that, so you're right, if we see in October that we're down to our last 20,000 and we have 2 or 3 groups come in, I'd like to just have something in the language that says additional preference or additional consideration will be given to smaller businesses. Not a separate pot, but it's all out of the same pot. But I would just like smaller businesses to get additional consideration.
Okay. Councilmember Stone and then City Manager, or?
Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Littlewer on this. I think we should limit it, and I don't know if we should limit it to 3 applications within a 5-year period, or if we should limit it to that $20,000 max, and maybe on more than 1 application. But I think.
Within a 5-year period, you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I just want a limit.
Yeah.
Because even if it's a tremendous project from one business,
Right.
there should be a limit.
Well, I think putting that limit in place also helps small businesses more so, because the small businesses are not going to be able to come in with an application every year for $20,000 that they have to match.
Right, great point.
They can ask for something less.
Whoops, hang on. Councilmember Hubler, Councilmember Bloomberg.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we allow them to go at least up to the 20,000, because they could put in 2 applications and only spend $2,000 and then be ineligible in year 3, which doesn't make any sense. So I'm okay, I think, going that. I actually wouldn't mind going a little higher if there's funds available. So in other words, could you be put in the back of the line in year 4 if there's funds available to get them? I think that, I personally would say if you've gone over your 20 and at the end of the year there's still funds available, I would like to see them be eligible for that. But I definitely think it needs to be at least, you're allowed to do as many applications, you can apply every year as long as you haven't hit your 20,000 limit. I do have a second thing in there that I think needs to go away in the application, and that is an electronic version of a professional rendering. I mean, we're allowing this for landscaping and furniture and stuff. I think the need in an application to have a professional rendering of what you're doing for like a $1,000 application is not necessary, and that should be struck from the application requirement.
Would you like me to address now?
Yeah, address whatever you would like.
Okay. Certainly defer to the council in terms of the limit and the number. I would just suggest that you try to make it as simple as possible. I think it's difficult for the public if we have to say, well, if we have extra funds by September, then we'll send it back out. It becomes just too challenging for businesses to kind of keep up with all that. Similar to what we did this past year, where we depleted all of our funds, because this is a priority of the city council, we just redirected funding to this program. And you will get regular updates, just as you've had for past programs. So if we are getting close to depleting, you're going to know about it. Certainly, we're monitoring each account as well. And so we can revisit the policy if we feel that either people are taking advantage of it or it's not meeting the intent that it was set up. But I would just try to kind of almost really just keep it as simple as possible. The preference to small business is certainly a good suggestion, and we do believe as staff that this is going to be most attractive to small businesses. The challenge with just having even that statement is that because this is a rolling application, it's not like we're going to sit on applications unless you want us to. We're not going to consider any applications until the third quarter, and then we're going to have all of them, and then we'll do preference to small businesses. But because it's rolling, it's difficult to say, well, we're going to have preferential treatment toward small and not the other ones. So that's why one consideration that we thought of is if there is an interest really in small businesses, then have certain dollar amount that are going for small businesses and certain dollar amount for others. We don't suggest that because that becomes now 2 programs. But that was the only reservation with having the preference to small businesses.
Okay. Councilmember Bloomberg.
Yeah, I appreciate what you've just said. There's an element, as I understand, if I recall correctly, the applicant has to match the amount of funds the city is providing. That's going to limit to some degree the number of applicants and the kinds of applicants. I don't know how you quantify a small business. And frankly, the need for facade improvement tends to be more prevalent among somewhat larger businesses that occupy more street space. So I'm not sure I really understand the need for that particular limitation.
Councilmember Tapia.
Yeah, actually, I'm seeking clarity to Councilmember Littleworth's suggestion. What is the limit you're seeking? Like, there's the 5 years, there's up to 20,000.
Over
20
the 5-year period or
Over
just?
the 5-year period.
So a
That's
total
why-
of 20,000?
Yes,
Total over a 5-year period?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was willing to go with the 3 projects, meaning the 30,000. But
60,000. Because it's a max of
60,000,
20.
Yeah,
exactly.
20 per.
Yeah. Well, just to state my point of view, I think limited to only 20,000 over a 5-year period is too limiting. It goes against the spirit of we're trying to really facilitate, flowering, if you
I can see going
will.
up to 40, but I cannot see having because then you're actually talking about a business that could come up with $100,000 worth of improvements over a 5-year period.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I agree with the limit of 100 sounds too much. I'm comfortable with 60, up to 3 times, over a 5-year period, max 20,000.
Councilmember Ross and then Councilmember Bloomberg.
Thank you, Mayor. I lean toward being as generous as possible for the reasons that Councilman Tapia mentioned, really trying to help businesses. And I am comfortable with the original proposal, but if my colleagues, want to go with a $60,000 limit, that's okay too. I'm curious as to whether other, what other municipalities are doing. Did we come up with this proposal because we saw it working in another city? Or have we looked at what other cities are offering?
We did do research. I don't recall. Do you? Yes, yeah. And I'm sorry, Councilmember Hubler asked a question. I didn't answer it, so if I may.
Go ahead.
At that time. So the professional rendering, completely understand your question, and maybe what I would suggest is if we could indicate as required by city staff, because if you have a sign, you have to have a professional rendering. If you're buying furniture, there's professional. We just don't want someone to come in on a napkin and say, here's what I'm planning to do, and it's going to cost X, Y, Z.
Yeah, I think it's totally as required.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So just quickly, Councilmember Ross and council as a whole, we did research other communities as part of our broader review over the last year of what are other communities doing in terms of incentives, not just on the North Shore, but throughout the Chicagoland region. There are quite a few communities out there with different types of facade programs. We looked at best practices across the board. Business development manager Hirsch and I really talked this out, talked to other professionals, what works, what doesn't, to really kind of find that dollar amount that is beneficial if you're a small business who is really going to reinvest, or if you're a larger group who maybe is thinking about doing something but can't really afford it all the way, so there's a little bit of a wiggle. And I think one of you, I'm sorry, I can't remember who, mentioned some of the businesses that would best benefit are those with the larger facades. I think it was you, Councilmember Bloomberg. And this dollar amount gives a little bit more, and that's more incentive for them to actually go ahead with those improvements. And that's what we found from the research as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bloomberg.
So that actually addresses two comments that I wanted to make. First of all, I'm comfortable with the way this has been presented to us. I think this is where we should start. I think staff has done a substantial amount of research into this and what is likely to work best. There are going to be changes that need to be made, and the best way to figure out what to change is to try the program as it's recommended first for a couple of years and then see whether we need to increase or decrease certain limits. And I'm comfortable not having the limits because frankly, a business who comes back repeatedly is also stating this is a business that wants to invest in our community. And this is somewhat like a retail version of what we do for very big businesses like the car dealerships and large income, tax income generating businesses. We have tax incentives. But in order to apply for those tax incentives, you have to demonstrate a commitment to our community in terms of how long you've been here and that you're going to do something to stay here, like expanding your business, building more buildings or improving your buildings. That is a consideration in terms of extending those kinds of incentives. Here too, somebody who is coming back and saying, we want to be a part of this program, we'd like to have the city assist us with our investment in staying on this piece of property. So I'm not eager to limit that. Businesses that keep coming back and saying we want to do more, we want to do more, those are businesses that are likely to be contributing to our community and our downtown.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Lidwar.
So we did have a definition of small businesses because the way the program has been written until now, it was only for small businesses. And that had to do with sales on an annual basis. And that's how we defined small businesses. So there is a working definition currently in place, and we're in the process of expanding upon it. I'm not saying that, I understand completely about the rotating portion of this, but we do have an annual budget, so we do know that over a one-year period, we're looking at spending approximately $100,000 on it. And so even if people apply for $15,000 or $7,000 or whatever it is, I just think that if we have it in there, that we will be giving special consideration to small businesses, at least as we evaluate the applications that come in. If we're at the end of the year, at least we can help a smaller business, if in fact that's what we need to be. That's my reason for bringing it up. That's number one. Number two, I don't really have a problem with the 40 or the 60,000, but I do think there needs to be a limit because there are a lot of businesses in this community. We want to include more and more businesses. If we're talking about 20,000 per grant per year, we're really looking potentially at only 5 that we can help. And so I would hate to have the same 5 come every year for a 5-year period. And that's why I think it's essential to limit it either to the 40 or the 60. And I don't have a problem with either one of those. I'd like to be more generous to Councilmember Ross's point, and I think if it makes more of an impact to set the limit at the 60, I don't have a problem with that. But I'd like to see a limit. So I would only add those 2 modifications about preference to small businesses and a cap over the 5-year period of 60,000 per business, not per project. As many projects as they want to bring up based on their own, transactions and a capability to invest in our community.
So I'm not having a consensus at this point. So Councilmember Hubler, I'm kind of curious to know sort of where you land in terms of, is it 20 a year and it can be up to 100?
Well, if I was making the decision, I would allow the 20 a year, and I would have the city council be in a situation where we are getting too many applicants, and we're going to find that out year one.
Right.
So if the cap is 60, we know in year one that, hey, we're getting a lot of applicants for this. We need to limit people who are doing it over and over. But if we don't even fill up in year one, we're going to be like, well, we're probably okay to keep doing this. We have the budget for it. And if we are getting too many applicants, we could look at that cap, but we can also look at increasing the budget for it. So I think the trial basis is fine and just revisit it in 2 or 3 years and see if it is a problem. And at that point, we can stop it.
Make an adjustment. Yeah, Councilmember Stone.
Yeah, I'm concerned with doing it without a limit. I agree with Councilmember Littler that we need to have some sort of a limit on it. I'm thinking, in my mind of the state has an electric vehicle rebate program, and people applied for that, and it closed within less than 2 weeks because there was so much demand for it. I would hate for a few large businesses to come in early in the year, get these grants, and then other businesses that might have been planning to do something and counting on one of these grants, but doing it later in the year is out of luck. So for that reason, I'd like to have a limit.
Okay.
And I'm happy with the 40 or the 60 over the course of the 5 years.
So not going up
To 100,000.
200,
I
okay.
think 100,000 is a lot.
From my notes, I'm seeing 4 people are still okay with 100, and 3 are looking for a limit. So I almost want us to take a motion and a vote on it as drafted, and if it fails, then we'll reapproach, if that's okay.
With the amendments that were presented earlier.
Yeah, we already have the amendment.
We already have the amendments
Yeah.
previously.
When you say as drafted, as proposed for this evening.
Okay, so I'm seeking a motion to approve the ordinance as drafted, as amended for this evening, as stated currently on the agenda. Yes, ma'am.
One quick question. Can you just tell us which amendments those would include, that would include?
Yes.
So we're all on the same page.
So
Gotcha.
on page 1, the definition of business means we added sales tax generating business.
But you removed the for-profit.
I'll get there, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Just 1 second. And then on page 5, it indicates the business must be owned and operated within the United States, and then we struck for-profit. And then under the reapplication, it reads, no more than 1 grant shall be approved for any, and then the change is type of eligible improvement within any single building in any 5-year period.
So they only can get 1 grant.
Okay.
No.
And I would add the.
Hang on, sorry. Councilmember Tapia and then Councilmember Bloomberg.
Yeah, I am waffling between the 60 and 100, but I feel comfortable that we're talking about, we have the budget for 100,000 for this year.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about then over a 5-year period, there's going to be this cumulative addition thing. We have a chance to see how it goes.
Right.
So whether it's 100 or 60, is it too much or too little? So I don't know if that's so material, as opposed to just making a decision tonight about moving forward. So which way am I going to go? I mean, I could go either way, really.
Okay.
I think the spirit is right, and I don't think it locks us in a way that we will regret. I don't think we end up in a dead end,
Okay,
either way.
thank you. Councilmember Bloomberg.
So I would like to make a motion to approve this with the amendments and the additional amendment that was suggested by Councilmember Hubler regarding having to present an electronically drafted image. I think the recommendation was as necessary. So with those amendments, I would move to approve this.
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments? Let's take a vote.
Councilmember Ross?
Aye.
Councilmember Butler?
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia?
Aye.
Councilmember Littler?
No.
Councilmember Stone?
No.
Councilmember Bloomberg?
Aye.
Mayor Rotary?
Aye, 5 ayes, 2 nays. Item 1, as amended, has been approved. Okay, continuing on. Item 11, a resolution approving a local public agency agreement for Phase 2 engineering services with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the Judson Avenue Bridge Replacement Project. Councilmember Ross.
I did ask most of my questions of the city manager, and they were answered. And I guess this, one of my concerns was that part of the contract is for, involves managing, how do you put it, property that is owned by other people, and my concern was eminent domain, but that doesn't seem to be an issue.
That's correct.
The bridge is being widened by 7 feet, roughly 7 feet, and from 31 feet to 38 feet per IDOT, I assume, their requirement. And I since most of my questions were answered, thank you very much. The one point I wanted to make is that with the Central Avenue Bridge, the landscape and trees were removed from the ravine, and it's now filled with a fair amount of riprap and far fewer trees. And I guess for the record, I would like, you did answer that question, that there'll be a landscape tree removal and replacement will be called out in the landscape plan, which will be reviewed by city staff, including the city forester. And just that, to me, it's a priority that we, as much as possible, preserve these ravines and the natural landscape. There are whole ecosystems under them, and they're important to the city. And I want to add, having read a good amount of those master plans, it was quite a document, or a series of documents, that it's consistently something that Highland Parkers care about, is the natural beauty and environment and landscape of the city. So I would like to make every effort to restore the ravine underneath any bridge project, but this is the project in front of us. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Is that a motion to approve?
Is that a motion to approve?
Item 11.
Yes.
Is there
I'll second that.
any further comments or questions? No? Will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Ross?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler?
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia?
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Stone?
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg?
Aye.
Mayor Rotering?
Aye, 7 ayes, no nays. Item 11 is approved. Item 13, I'm pulling for Chair Shu to share her comments. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your service to our
Sure, yeah.
Transportation Advisory Group.
Thank you for the reappointment. So my name is Jessica Hector Sue, and I am the chair of the Transportation Advisory Group. And I wanted to come tonight to talk a little bit about Complete Streets with you. I wanted to first voice my support for the policy that's in your packet. It really does represent a step forward for Highland Park. I've been here, a resident here for about 11 years, and one of the things that drew me to Highland Park is that it's very walkable, it's very bikeable, and I've literally used every form of transportation in the town, biking, walking, buses, trains, and my kids are now teens and older adults, so they need to be able to get around safely on their own. And there was a season when I had a stroller, and I'm sure you all have friends with kids and strollers. And I also have elderly friends where it just takes a little bit longer to get around. And God willing, at some point I'll be at that age. And so it's really important for us as a town to think about how to make our streets safer for everyone who uses them. And this policy really does do that. They're really considered good practice in the world of transportation. I'm a transportation person by day. I do this in a volunteer capacity, but I do this for a living too. And it's really standard practice. So props to you for taking this step forward. The tag has been working for about a year with staff on this. The policy took a little extra time, so we thank you for that time. And it really was a product of some collaboration and some compromise. We really had to think about what it meant to create a policy that fit within what the city does and the processes that are in place today to keep things efficient and effective. So we really, I think it really does represent that. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to work on it. I do want to thank City Manager as well as Councilperson Stone for being champions of it, and staff for really working with us, both staff from Community Development and Public Works who staff the tag with us. So thank you. I strongly encourage you to approve it, and I will look forward to hopefully working with you to implement it in the future. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks again for your volunteerism on behalf of the community. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you. So as you said earlier, Mayor, this idea came to the city in 2009. And at that, I've pulled up a document from then that I just want to just read a few sentences from. Peg Lemley, another Highland Park resident, and I brought this idea to the city in 2009, and it was approved as part of the Bike Walk 2030 plan. The Bike Walk 2030 plan was replaced recently with the Move HP plan, and so we've been sort of operating with both of those plans in mind, but without a Complete Streets policy officially approved. Complete Streets policy is a document. It shows a commitment by the City of Highland Park to accommodate all users of the roadways, including pedestrians, bicyclists, transit users, and motorists. And we're really fortunate to live in a community with excellent bike and pedestrian access, and the passage of the policy will ensure that future projects maintain Highland Park's character. Complete streets really play an important role in livable communities where all people, regardless of age, ability, or mode of transportation, feel safe and welcome on the roadways. And with that, I would like to move to approve it as amended with the comments that the city manager gave to us earlier.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Councilmember Littler.
I completely support this. It's an amazing work. Councilmember Stone, you really deserve our admiration for your perseverance over this time and doing it. I do have to abstain. I'm sorry, but unless I see complete language in front of me, I'm just not comfortable. And you went over with me beforehand several small changes, minor changes, and I completely trust staff to get and incorporate those. But I still don't feel right voting on something where I don't see the final language and where I think nuance is really important. Because even when we were discussing who has, jurisdiction over little things, even though it's a minor word here and there, it does make a difference. So I will abstain, not because I don't support this and really respect your work.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I did.
You did second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littler.
Abstain.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye. 6 ayes, no nays, 1 abstention. Item 13 has been approved. Congratulations.
Thank
It's been
you.
a long journey.
It's been a very long journey. This is part of the reason I ran for city council originally.
That was
was
fun, by the
because of
way.
this.
Okay, item number 15, an ordinance amending the City of Highland Park zoning ordinance of 1997 as amended regarding payments in lieu of providing required parking spaces and loading facilities. Councilmember Tapia.
Yeah, I'm actually seeking clarification on the logic. And I understand the logic up to a point, and then I don't. So there is a requirement for providing a certain number of parking spots. Okay, fine. But if you can't, you got to do payment in lieu. But then it turns out that the payment in lieu has somewhat been detrimental or potentially could risk development not happening or a developer pulling back because it was too expensive. It was $15,000 per parking spot. So 5 parking spots, that adds up to a lot. So the rationale was, every time it's come to either ZBA or to us or whoever, and it's always been waived. It's like, yeah, you're right, we want this project to go, we'll waive the cash in lieu, and then we've done it so much over so many years that the logic is, and I agree with this logic, that if you keep waiving it, then why do you have it in the books? So I agree with that logic. However, here's the scenario, right? If I'm a developer and I have the space to the parking spaces, I have to provide them. But if I don't have them, I was going to pay in cash, payment in lieu. But now if I don't have the spaces, but then we're not going to collect the payment in lieu, we haven't been doing it, but there's no ask in return. And it makes me wonder, is the answer waiving it completely? Or maybe the payment in lieu was just too high to begin with? $15,000 per space, 5 spaces in this one example, is a lot, but is the answer to just waive it completely, or is the answer to just reduce the payment in lieu to something that would be elastic enough to be able to say, oh, okay, we can afford that, that won't derail the project, because otherwise you have certain property owners or developers providing the spaces, and that's going to cost them whatever, and then others, just because they didn't have the space, they get cut off with no obligation to the community, and that just doesn't feel fair.
So I think part of it also was businesses. So businesses that were constrained by space that for the intensity of the business were not able to comply. And so given the tenor of this council wanting to support businesses, we literally just approved giving them up to $100,000 to then say, but you have to also pay for this, but we want your business, but you can't fit in the parking that we need. It's, there had to be some balance, and that was my understanding was where this was coming from, was more in the case of businesses and intensity of uses, more than developments. Developments tend to have the space for what they're trying to put together, because obviously if they're going to market an apartment building, for example, people, unless they're transit-oriented, are going to say, I need a place to park my car. but I think it was more specific to the businesses. So I appreciate you raising the question, and I think that was the logic behind it. You have your hand up, you have your hand up.
So I understand what you're saying, but the matters that come before the ZBA to be considered are hardship cases. There are other cases in which the payment in lieu is simply made, or the parking spaces are simply provided. When you come in front of the ZBA, although the ZBA may be particularly sympathetic, you're required to satisfy certain showings before the ZBA to demonstrate essentially a hardship. I'm not troubled by that. We do that in a number of areas with a number of requirements. I think the requirement itself is reasonable. It's in some ways a little bit like the payment in lieu we allow for inclusionary zoning. Except that with inclusionary zoning, we don't have any opt-out. And yet that we haven't seemed to suffer in terms of development overall, despite constant concerns that it may restrict development. Our development progresses or slows down pretty much in conjunction with the rest of the country and doesn't seem to be affected by that requirement. So with respect to parking spaces, you can demonstrate a hardship and get out of it. I think that's reasonable. Otherwise, what you're not seeing are the people who simply make the payment or create the parking spaces. So I'm okay with this, but I understand what you're talking about.
Councilmember Littleworth?
I actually, in a way, I don't want to say we're taking the easy way out, but I like the fact that we are coming to what is the reality. And the reality is everybody has waived this all along. I think it should be waived for houses of worship, not-for-profits. I completely understand that. But I really think that this was just so out of sync with the way we want to promote businesses that, to Councilmember Tapia's point, by requiring a $15,000 payment, we just made it so onerous that either we had to waive it or we had to disregard it. And I think we should do the hard work and sort of cut it a little bit better. In other words, we should not have those payments for the not-for-profits and the houses of worship. That made perfect sense to me. But I think if someone is going to either pay up, as you said, Councilmember Blumberg, and we don't hear about it, then why should someone who's trying to get the relief not have to make that statement or make that payment? Not to the extent of a $75,000 additional payment. But I really do think we should still have a payment in lieu fee.
Thank you. Councilmember Stone?
Thanks. I just want to get a little clarification from the city manager on this. So if somebody wants to not pay this fee, or if someone wants to not provide the parking spaces, they need to get a variance, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're eliminating the fee, but they would still be required to get a variance.
Correct, they'd be required to get a special exception, if I may, Madam
Yep.
Mayor. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's still, the special exception process is still intact. This does not propose any changes to that. It's just the fee in lieu of the parking spaces otherwise relieved being eliminated. That's correct.
And the
Thank you.
example was, as you read, the animal hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Filling in a
75,000.
space that, or a storefront that had been vacant for many, many years, finally
Right.
is there and not able to provide the parking.
Yeah,
So that
no,
was the
I
example.
appreciate the clarification and the example. I was with Councilmember Tapia a little bit uncomfortable with eliminating the payment completely, but if somebody is required to get a variance and to prove a hardship in order to get out of the requirement for parking, then I think I'm okay with this.
Okay, Councilmember Ross?
I agree. Again, what I'm concerned about is helping businesses as much as possible, and that was the heart of, I can't think of the, pardon?
Hardship?
No, not hardship, but that was the heart of, that was the spirit, thank you, spirit of this proposal. And since they still have to get a variance, I support it as is.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Hubler, any comments, or good to go?
Let's
with
do
the
this.
vote? Okay.
Can I move to approve it?
Motion
for
to
it.
approve, that's my comment.
There you go.
Okay, second.
Okay, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Ross?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler?
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia?
No.
Councilmember Littlewer?
No.
Councilmember Stone?
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye. 5 ayes, 2 nays. Item 15 is approved. Item 18, an ordinance amending Section 72.020 of the Highland Park Code of 1968 as amended regarding durational limits on parking in municipal parking lots. Councilmember Tapia.
Yeah, the rationale for, people abusing, doing something about people abusing the charging time and all that, I'm following all that. I'm not questioning the fairness of wanting to enforce it and not take up space that others need. So I'm just a little worried about enforcement because it seems a little bit complicated. You have to keep track of when they went in, how long they charged, if they moved over to another. I'm just worried about your staff's ability to keep track of all that. I mean, the logic makes sense, but can we enforce it? And if we can't enforce it, is this worth doing?
First, thank you so much. Appreciate your sensitivity to the staff demands and challenges with this. And I'll look at Chief Jogman if he wants to jump in. So we do have our community service officers that do enforce the parking regulations throughout the community. And so they do have the ability, through the use of new technology that the City Council approved, so thank you for that, to be able to effectively enforce these regulations. So the answer is yes. We do have limited staff that does the enforcement, and so we're not able to get to every single parking lot as often as people want, but certainly we do enforcement. We also, just for the public, we also have an enforcement holiday going on right now, just to encourage people to shop during the holiday season, but yes, we can enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to approve item 18?
Move to approve.
Want to Russell?
Okay, I'm going to be the second for that.
Will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, 7 ayes, no nays. Item 18 is approved. Item 19 is an ordinance amending the City of Highland Park zoning ordinance of 1997 as amended regarding planned developments. This was extensively explained in our packet. Do you still need and want a presentation?
I'm good.
I think we are okay. Okay. Is there a motion on item? You want to say something?
I'd like to make a motion and say something.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move to pass this, and I really want to commend staff and our community on really moving forward something that's very, very important. To say nothing of Corporation Counsel, who worked on every single word on this, too. I just want to reiterate for the record, there were 5 meetings about this after it was brought up. And I think this is laying the framework to really look at zoning and the way we have mixed use and the way we use our bigger properties and we work together as a community. And through the hard work of our community, our staff, and the PDC, God bless them, 5 times back and forth, but we went over every single area. We even left room to grow, no pun intended for berms, which do grow, by the way. But we even left room for the buffers and all the different things that will be taken into account at some point. And I cannot tell you what a wonderful job the staff in this community did. It made me really proud. After working on numerous issues at PDC, both as a commissioner and now as the liaison, this is really the crowning point of what I've seen done by our staff in our city.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Yeah, just a question for Councilmember Littlewer. For the benefit of the public, since we're going to public record, it is a very complicated document. Can you just summarize for the public? When you say, why is this beneficial? Like, make it, accessible.
Or if you don't want to, they can read it as posted in the agenda.
It's very complicated
Just a
document.
couple of very quick little points. And really, I think what it comes down to is that it really takes our processes and says, you're going to come before us and have a hearing, a public hearing, when you have an application. And so the community and the staff and everyone will really have a transparent process through which to go over larger plans. And then I'm going to turn it over to our Corporation Counsel, because whether it's one use, one building.
Well, I wasn't going to get dig down that deep, but I was going to help, because I understand where you're going with your question, Councilmember Tapia. I will say that planned development is a very complex tool for in the city's quiver of arrows of zoning and land use procedures and processes. And until now, there was confusion as to what qualifies to be a planned development, what steps one needs to take, and it was difficult for surrounding property owners to understand the language that was in our zoning code. It was based on years of interpretation, off-record interpretation, and what this does is take all of the past practices of the city and codify them into what is hopefully a clear understanding of what constitutes a planned development.
And triggers, and when, so if a community member has a question, and if there's a residence that's going to be next to a building, they will know when these things are triggered. So it's really a clarity of our entire basis, and I think it's a wonderful job, and I commend you all.
Councilmember Bloomberg?
I just wanted to add, by way of background, planned unit developments, which have been in existence in Highland Park and across the state for historically, are there to encourage organized development. It allows the city to control developments and to assure that the developments meet the community needs and satisfy community standards, and at the same time encourage creativity by a developer who's looking at a larger development. And so typically they're triggered by size, either the number of units in a residential development or the overall size in a commercial development. One of the things that these changes seem to do to me that are very important is to provide additional protections when planned unit developments go in next to residential neighborhoods. We've had some struggles with that, as some of the people who are here this evening can surely attest to, and this provides greater control for the city, greater input from residents. And in terms of how we got here, I will echo that the Plan and Design Commission did a particularly excellent job in scrutinizing each change and inviting and receiving a great deal of important, thoughtful input from the public, which was incorporated into the final product and recommendation to us, which is how these commissions are supposed to work.
Great, thank you. Are there members of the public who want to be heard this evening on this item? Okay, and I'll just say thank you for your significant patience and input throughout the many meetings and considerations that have gone on regarding this topic. Did you want to say something more?
Mayor, if I may, you know, it's rare that people who are not on a commission or an advisory group come to every meeting and submit comments. And there are two community members who really put in significant time. And I really want to commend Mike Laxner and Steve Gold for the amount of work as just concerned neighbors that they put in. And I'm grateful to you because we all learned from your work, and we certainly wanted to incorporate it both as staff and as elected officials and commissioners into our work. So thank you all.
Thank you. I have a motion. I don't have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Ross?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubler?
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia?
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Stone?
Aye.
Councilmember Bloomberg?
Aye.
Mayor Rotering?
Aye, 7 ayes, no nays. Item 19 is approved. I'm now seeking a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you all for joining us tonight.